has ended, so it is now time to rank and review everything I bought and watched during April. But before I get into this video, I just want to say thank you for any like, any comment, and subscribing during the last 2 years, because this month marks the 2-year anniversary on this channel. So thank you for any support you've given me during the past 2 years, and I'm very excited to see where things go in the future on this channel. Now, for anyone who doesn't really watch these types of videos on my channel or are new, I always start these videos the exact same way. I actually talk about all the movies that I watched this month, including new releases and first-time watches ranked together. I then talk about any TV shows that I've watched, and then I go to my haul portion of this video. I start with my physical media haul and then my horror collection haul. Now, that varies on how much I watched and I bought during the month, which next month I'll have a lot on that topic. I'm also going to start talking about what to expect the next month on this YouTube channel at the end of this video. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and actually talk about what I watched this month. Starting out this month, I watched 9 movies, 5 new releases, and 4 first-time watches. I wouldn't say overall it's a very solid month for horror watches for me, because 8 and up, I would say they're solid. The only one I will say is pretty forgettable is my number 9. And my number 9 is Thrash. Thrash is a Netflix release that tells the story of a shark who enters during a hurricane because the wall breaks, sharks come in, and you follow 3 to 4 different people as they are trying to survive this natural disaster. And this is your pretty typical shark disaster movie. The sharks look fine, I will say that. My favorite storyline definitely involved the siblings, because I broke down my video when I talked about storylines, but my siblings, my favorite storyline. Did not care for the pregnancy storyline. That's like the weakest part of the movie in my opinion, because not only do you have to have so many things conveniently happen to keep this person alive and just to make it work, then you have the birth scene, which is just something, I can just tell you that. I think they do a good job like setting up the disaster, like the first 15 minutes, like the severity of it. Pretty good job with that part. But overall, it is more forgettable for a shark movie because it's just, you're pretty much a generic shark movie during a disaster, and that's kind of just the best way to honestly describe it. Number 8 though, again, I want to say this movie is a movie that a lot of people like that ended up just not being for me, and my number 8 is Christine from 1983. Now, this is Stephen King, and I understand a lot of people like this movie. And and for anyone who doesn't really know much about it, because I always knew the car story, about the car, but this tells the story of a boy who gets this car, and when he buys the car and him kind of have a relationship. Anyone who gets in the way of him and his car's relationship gets killed by the car. Now, I can have fun with a goofy movie, but this movie, there was some times where I was bored in it. I can see why people like this movie. I think the car still looks cool today. I think acting-wise and storyline, it's fine, but it just ended up being a movie that a lot of people like. Christine just ended up not being for me. And the funny thing is that people are still like that with their cars even in 2026. I would say even more so as I get older, I notice it. So, a lot of people like, not for me, but it's not a bad one. At number 7, The Mummy. This is a new release. This tells the story of a news person who is somewhere else and his daughter gets kidnapped, and 8 years later he gets the call that his daughter has been found alive. So when he comes to collect her and take her home, things start to go wrong. First off, I will say this, I've seen a lot of comparisons to Evil Dead and The Exorcism when it comes to this movie, The Exorcist of this movie, and I'm a casual fan of the Evil Dead series. I am not a fan of the Exorcism type horror movies. They're just not for me. And as soon as this trailer dropped, I thought to myself, please do not be the movie that I'm imagining in my head. And that unfortunately ended up being the case. I think acting wise it's good, it's solid. Gore wise and like the effects look also pretty solid. I think they did a good job in those departments. But other than that, I don't know. The exorcism stuff I just didn't really like, and it just kind of turned into like an exorcism type horror movie. And then you get to the ending. The ending disappointed me because I liked the family stuff when it came to this movie. But then you go down, right? And you had to give them the happier ending. this movie would have landed a lot more if they didn't add the little happier ending. I'm sorry, it was true. And there's at one point in this movie where there's like a cliche, you know, where, oh my god, they're gonna survive. This character literally at one point held their vocal cord and is still alive when they totally should have been dead. Little annoyances like that. And again, I can see why a lot of people might have fun with this movie, but for me, the extras stuff and like the little things that are just like, I have to like roll my eyes a little bit, they kind of took over a little bit in this movie. It's just not for me, but I can see some people really having a good time with this movie. At number 6, I have Faces of Death. Faces of Death tells us, another new release, tells the story of a girl whose job is to basically go through social media on a platform and just kind of say what's okay to be put on there and say what's not okay to be put on there. And this movie has a lot to say about the discussion of social media and how we consume social media, and especially when it comes to violence and clicks. And I'll say they do a good job with that angle. I have not seen the original Faces of Death. I don't have any intention of rewatching it in the future. But even if you haven't seen it, I think they do a good job at kind of explaining why at the moment that it had on people and how it's viewed today and how that comes across. And I think gore-wise also done pretty solid. But again, where this movie kind of started to lose me is some of the cliches. The biggest one with the cops were just like not believing her at all for over a stupid reason. And then he going to clarifies that to the ending. I did not like the ending. Again, see what they're going for, but come on. She was all about gathering evidence. And at one point you have the evidence, she doesn't do anything with it, which is kind of that's just like an annoyance I had with it. Again, I said it kind of went downhill after that thing down there. So overall, not for me, but has a lot to say about social media. And I think they do a good job kind of executing the social media conversation, at least starting that conversation. That's been interesting to see. And number 5, I have Chopping Mall. This was released in 1986. And remember, 1986. But this tells the story of a killer robot whose job was to basically come and act as security for this mall at night. This is just a very cheesy, very camp 80s movie. And you know what? I am here for those movies like that. There are some movies where you're going to turn your brain off and just enjoy the campiness of. This is that movie. The cliches of the characters, of course, you know, only the virgins surviving, the atmosphere, the mall, even the robots and like the laser effects of the robots very much look its time. But you know what? It is the right level of cheesiness and just camp, honestly. It's just a good, cheesy, camp 80s movie about killer robots. And I know this was not the original name for this movie. I can't remember what this was originally called, but very cheesy, very 80s, camp movie done well. At number 4, another new release, and I have this at number 4 for one specific reason, and that's Over Your Dead Body. Over Your Dead Body is objectively more of a thriller action comedy than it is horror, I will say that. But this basically just follows the story of 2 couples who go on a weekend getaway intended to kill each other, but things start to make a turn when something else is introduced. I liked a lot about this movie. Samara Weaving was in this. I liked her. I liked how she was with the other actor in this movie. I think that was done very well. Acting wise, it was done very well. I think this movie had some really solid comedy, and I could definitely see some people not really being a big fan of the comedy at some points. And there was definitely some bits I think they definitely overplayed, especially with like one involving the gun gimmick. But again, that's just like a nitpick personally for me. But overall, this is a pretty fun movie. The only thing I really wasn't the biggest fan of and the biggest negative for me was easily how they used SA in this movie. Now, it is called, and the way they use it, not only does it take like the tone way down and way differently, it just takes a lot of the tone away in the movie that just did not deserve to be there. You think that the guy is gonna get SA'd, he doesn't, but they make you actually believe it, and it just throws me off. Was not a big fan of that movie. Generally, I am more sensitive to that stuff in movies, but I just generally did not like that part of the movie, and that's the biggest negative, and that's what it got down to number 4, because that's just, they should throw it all away. But still pretty fun movie besides that. At number 3, I have Hokum. Hokum tells the story of a writer who goes to Ireland to spread his parents' ashes. But when the hotel's employee goes missing, he wants to go help find her, so he breaks in the hotel at night. This movie reminds me a lot of 1408 when it comes to the hotel stuff. Now, I haven't seen that movie in a while, but when I was watching this movie, I kept thinking of that movie. Now, this movie definitely has a creepy vibe. I think it is shot well, too. I think that there is still some creepiness of it. I like the barbarian stuff when you go down. Very creepy, feely movie. I also like why they explained why Fiona was taken. There's some movies where it was just like, oh, this person just got taken because, but there's like an actual valid reason why she got taken involving the management, and I really like that about the story and why he wanted to cover it up. So again, just a very creepy, very well shot, very solid movie. Now, are the jump scares pretty typical? Yeah, the jump scares not great, but everything else, creepy, good movie. My 1 and 2 could change depending on the day, but ultimately this month I decided to put my number 2 at House on Haunted Hill from 1959. Now, I knew nothing about this movie going in. I have a 50s classic CD set that I got two years ago. I've had for a while, and I just picked a movie off of it, ended up being House on Haunted Hill, so I put it in. This movie tells a story of strangers who basically said, hey, if you stay the night at this mansion, you can get $1 million. So they go. And for knowing absolutely nothing about this movie, just a random pick, I had a really good time with this one. Even from the 50s, it holds up pretty well. I think acting wise, it's fine. I think it looks fine too. I really like the effects and how they look in this movie. I like how they use the ghost stuff in this movie. I did not see that twist coming. So for an absolute surprise for a movie that I literally knew nothing about, pretty solid, and it holds up very well, and it's very short too. A good amount of time for a story like this. Super solid, still holds up, even though it was from the 50s. But my number 1 from 2001, 13 Ghosts. 13 Ghosts tells a story of a family who is struggling, and then they find out their relative died and they have a new house because they are in the will. Now, this is a movie that I've known about for a while, but I didn't know anything about the plot or anything like that. So I put this in, and oh my god, I can see why a lot of people really like this movie. I think it looks really good, acting wise really good. Matthew Lillard's in this. I completely forgot he was in this movie. Then I put it on and saw him on my screen. I like the characters, the ghosts, and the backgrounds done very, very well. Very entertaining. I like where things go at the end. Overall, just a very, very good movie. And I can see, and this is very well liked for a very good reason. I even took advantage of my extras, which I'm starting to do now more than ever because I got it on Blu-ray. Oh my god, I like this movie a lot. It is really, really fun, and I see why people like it. Now, that is the end of the rankings. I didn't buy a lot this month because next month I am going to Texas Frightmare Weekend, and I'm very excited about that. I am going to do a haul this year and show you guys what I get this year, including autographs and who I met. But I managed to pick up 1 Blu-ray, and it also comes in 4K in this case for me. But I upgraded the thing. I originally had this in a DVD, but I decided to go ahead and grab it in this. And it comes with a couple bonus features. It comes with the John Carpenter's The Thing, Terror Takes Shape, outtakes, feature commentary with the director and Kurt Russell, and the theater actual trailer. So this is my first upgrade for my physical media collection. So I went ahead and upgraded to The Thing. And I actually really like this cover a lot. And as for my horror collection, I only got 1 thing this month. Next month will be a lot more. And he is already staged on here in my little Stephen King corner here, but it is It Walked in a Dairy Ultimates Bob Gray as Pennywise. Now, for anyone who doesn't really know, because I don't think I want to talk a lot about it on here, but when it comes to my horror collection, I mainly show when it comes to NECA, stuff like this, on my shorts, where I do a couple of shorts, and if I have enough for a long form video, I'll record a long form video of it, but mainly you can catch my horror collection stuff on my shorts. And as for next month, as I mentioned prior, I am going to Texas Frightmare Weekend. Very excited. I will be doing a haul for when I get there. And as for movie reviews, as of right now, I have Deepwater, or the shark movie, coming out tomorrow. I have Obsession Plan and The Passenger Plan to review, and Backrooms on the 29th. But that is what I have right now. Now, this is not all that's coming out next month, but that is what I have set in stone so far. So comment down below what you thought of thing I mentioned during this video, whether that be the movies, anything like that. Comment down below. Thank you guys for all the support you've given me over the 2 years. I'm very excited to see where things go in the future. And I'll see you guys next month because we have a lot to talk about next month.